morning, Molly.
Good morning, Nina.
So excited to be chatting with you about the clinic.
Me too.
Could you tell me a little bit about a case where you saw how civil legal advocacy impacted the broader community?
Yeah, I think the case for me that has been the biggest in terms of community impact is actually the case I've only done a boring task on, which is document review. But it's document review for a case against a really infamous housing development in Durham that mostly houses low-income senior citizens and is just known for having really horrible living conditions. And so even though I'm just doing a little piece of the case that's been going on since before I got to the clinic, will keep going on after I leave the clinic, it's been great to contribute to a case that's going to have an impact on such a great number of people, and especially to know that these are people who have been living in Durham for decades, if not their whole life.
Right.
I just got to Durham for law school, and so it's great to know that I'm impacting a little bit, such a big, important piece of our community.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a really important case.
How about you? Which case comes to mind?
I think for me, a case that comes to mind that is like exemplary of the sort of work that one does in clinic was a case involving a client, a tenant, who was sued by his landlord for over $20,000 in damages. It was like kind of ridiculous. And we met with the client and we were able to file a motion for summary judgment, an affidavit like explaining from his side like what happened and why he doesn't owe this money, and then also like a legal memorandum providing like an argument and support for why we think he didn't owe this money. And we my client partner and I and the managing attorney, we prepped this case. We worked for hours on our argument to present for the judge. And then we got to court and the landlord was like, okay, I'll negotiate, which was awesome to do all that prep work and then actually really make a difference. The fact that our client had a lawyer this time in district court, it changed the game for him. Because when people show up unrepresented, they don't get that same respect from either the attorney on the other side, the landlord, or sometimes even the judge. And in our case, we were actually able to get the eviction dropped and we got our client a little bit of money in return, which was awesome for all of the unfair issues he was suffering, his terrible housing conditions. Honestly, it wasn't enough, but it was great to get the eviction dropped and really represent someone in our community.
Nina, could you tell me about some of the skills you've gained through working in the clinic or personal growth you experienced while in the clinic and since you've left?
Absolutely. I think the clinic has really given me so many practical skills. Law school teaches us how to write briefs. It teaches us how to write an incredible argument, but it doesn't teach you how to actually submit a brief or file anything. And so that's what I think the clinic is great for, these practical actual skills, talking to clerks, how to talk to clients. One thing I learned is how to negotiate with other attorneys. I would never have done that in law school except for this experience where we're calling the landlord attorney or calling it a debt collector sort of agencies kind of thing and being hey, what can we do to work this out? Our client has these goals and these priorities. How can we work together and make this happen? So that was awesome. And then I also think just understanding how a courtroom works. I hadn't been in a courtroom before clinic. And so understanding how to answer the calendar call, how to speak to the judges, how to talk to your clients, how to have sidebars with other attorneys. I think those were really practical skills that I developed through the clinic. What about you?
Yeah, I would totally echo the practical skills point. I have been fortunate enough to argue in small claims court and district court in the past week of school.
That's awesome.
So it's been really great to just get up there with research and having written and done my legal research beforehand, but then also just knowing how to, as you said, navigate the space and speak to a magistrate or a district court judge. And then zooming out in terms of personal growth, I think the clinic has been really instrumental in showing me how to lawyer in a way that both keeps clients and their well-being top of mind and as my top priority, while also keeping systemic inequities in mind and being able to do work that kind of works on both of those levels at the same time. You're helping people stay housed, you're helping people get really awful living conditions resolved so they can stay healthy and with their family in their home is so important, but then also getting to have conversations about why housing law is set up this way in the first place and all the different stressors that our clients face in addition to eviction proceedings or habitability issues. it's been really helpful for me to see Professor McCoy and the Legal Aid of North Carolina attorneys do that work that's simultaneously impacting both individuals and also working against systemic inequality.
Yeah, absolutely. Molly, could you tell me a little bit about what surprised you the most about working in clinic?
Sure. There's been lots of surprising things that have come up in clinic, but I think for me it's been getting a really close-up look at how complicated it is to be poor in Durham. There are tons of reasons someone might fall behind on rent. In the cases I've worked on, it's been because of medical expenses somebody didn't anticipate, a family member who's in even more dire financial circumstances coming to stay with you, the landlord walking up to you and saying your rent's going up and not really giving you an opportunity to ask why or push back on that. And once that happens to you, it's just really hard and confusing to stop a really long line of dominoes from continuing to fall. If you don't know that legal aid exists, you might show up in small claims court without a lawyer. If you do and you lose, there's a really complicated process for appealing. All of a sudden you have to show up at the courthouse to pay a rent bond with money or like a money order.
Take a card.
And so I think just seeing all of the different stressors that fall onto somebody because they fall behind on rent, in addition to the possibility of an eviction going next to their name, has been really frustrating to see and not entirely unexpected, but definitely surprising in terms of all the things, all the hurdles that can pop up for somebody just because they've had some unanticipated financial consequences come up.
Absolutely.
Nina, what do you think has been the most rewarding aspect of your clinical work?
I think the most rewarding aspect of my clinical work has been the relationship that I developed with my student that I was working with, my co-counsel, and also with our managing attorney. We have the same managing attorney and who works at Legal Aid, and she is so incredible and so awesome. And me and my co-counsel learned so much from her. And it actually made me think about legal aid work as a career. I don't know if it'll be housing related, it might be general debt collection or general debt consumer matters. But that really shifted for me, what are my priorities? How do I be a lawyer in a way that's consistent with my values and help people in the community that I'm in?
Yeah, I would totally echo that. Working with our supervising attorney has been so inspiring and so instructive in terms of how she deals with judges, clients, her colleagues at Legal Aid, and same in terms of my clinical partner. She is not a law student I knew before clinic, and now we've just developed such a good working relationship. We're friends, and we just complement each other so well, and it's been great to go through some of the more stressful moments of clinic with a fellow student who I like so much by my side. And on top of that, getting to work with Professor McCoy as well. He is just such a pillar in the Durham legal community, and he's just seen so much in his years practicing here, going to law school here. And so to have clinic be my way to kind of be a part of his orbit has been so awesome. You know, you walk into the courthouse with Professor McCoy, everybody knows him, everybody's shaking his hand, and so it's been really rewarding too to learn from somebody who has so much expertise and is so respected in this legal community as somebody just starting out in my own legal career.
Definitely.